Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're so pleased to welcome Rich to Poster House this evening. For those of you who are new to the museum, Poster House is the first and only museum in the US dedicated to the art and history of the poster. So it's a very special privilege for us tonight to have Rich talk about the creative process behind his design for the 2026 FIFA World Cup poster for New York and New Jersey. So just before we get started and I introduce Rich, just a few notes. Restrooms are back by the 23rd Street side. We have some accessibility tools at the info desk, earplugs, listening devices, fidget tools, those things. So if you need anything like that, you can head back there. As he mentioned, there's champagne downstairs and it's gonna be there until 8 o'clock. So feel free to go down if you want, if you get a little thirsty. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Rich. Rich, too, is an award-winning artist and creative based in New York City. He is a partner and executive creative director at the branding agency Sunday Afternoon. Tu has also held creative leadership roles at Jones Knowles Ritchie, MTV Entertainment Group, and Nike. He won the ADC Young Guns award and recently received the prestigious Paul Manship Medallion for significant contributions to the Art Directors Club and the creative industry. Tu received his BFA in communication from Rutgers University and a master's degree in illustration from SVA in New York. He currently teaches design at SVA and is the co-founder of the Colorful Awards with the One Club for Creativity, an organization dedicated to creating opportunities for early career creatives. So please help me give a warm welcome to Rich.
Thank you, Jillian. Thank you very much. Also, there's some seats right up front, so if anyone's in the back and they want, or you won't be asked any questions. This isn't a classroom or anything. But hey, everyone, it's a pleasure to see all of you here again. Hi, I'm Rich too. Thank you, Jillian, for that really, really wonderful introduction. So today I'm going to talk about the process designing the New York World Cup poster, but also I'm going to go through, because this is the Poster House, it's such a prestigious institution, and also one of my favorite museums in the entire city. I always come here at least 2 to 3 times a year just to really spend a good 45 minutes to an hour basking in the history of poster design. I'm going to talk through the history of World Cup posters, and let me tell you, it's a very interesting history at that, and also surprisingly shorter than you think. If you think the World Cup happens once every 4 years, and we skipped a few, so there's a lot that's happened in such a short time. Like Jillian said, I'm an executive creative director and partner at Sunday Afternoon. We're located right downtown in Soho by Broadway and Canal. So artist, designer, creative director, occasional podcaster, all that good stuff. I have a long history in design, creativity, illustration. There's also sports, really, which is kind of the genesis of this. I spent a couple of years at Nike designing shoes, living in Beaverton, Oregon. These are some of the pairs I got to work on, folks like LeBron James and all that. I don't know if you know who LeBron James is. Yeah. Also, just to kind of show you some of my illustrative work, which is a bit in the style of the poster. Some collaborations I've done, like with Mini Cooper here, where I've got to design a custom car top. And also even collaborating with ESPN on a documentary that we released in 2024, about a couple of years ago, called Breakin' on the One, which is about a special moment in the history of breaking. Again, it's an art form created here in New York City for the first time. It was actually included in the 2024 Olympics. So this is to celebrate that. And then some clients that we currently have, again, going back to the poster and marketing, creativity, all that good stuff. We'll work with clients like Hoka, and also one of our current clients is the WNBA, where we designed the key art and also the logo for the WNBA draft that happened only a couple months ago at the Shed. Actually, we designed logo for the upcoming WNBA finals. I don't know if I can actually say that, but I will. Because it was approved. We're not going to see it until it actually is out, but come time for the WNBA finals, whose agency had a good hand in it. All right, it's a sizzle of some of my work. I've been a professional creative for the better part of 20 years now, which is very weird to say. But this sizzle is going to be about 5 minutes long. So while some of y'all are still getting some of that free champagne downstairs, y'all can enjoy this and yeah, enjoy. All right. You can clap that up. So you'll see, like, thank you very much. A lot of my work involves design, illustration, advertising, directorial work, animation, 3D. Kind of do a lot of it over the course of 20 years. I've kind of really expanded all my horizons as much as possible. And yeah, that brings me to today. So the reason why we're all here, so who's a fan of the World Cup? That's obviously why we're all here. You can clap that up. So if you've been paying attention to the marketing for the World Cup this year, there are 16 host cities, right? And those 16 cities, and also one full tournament poster, there are in total 17 posters for the World Cup. And I'm not going to go through the history of this particular year of all of these. way too much. But there's a lot of quote unquote digital ink around this year. But that said, I am going to talk about the poster that was designed for New York and New Jersey that I got to design. And FIFA reached out. Oh my gosh, it was the beginning of 2025. And actually, it was debuted right here at the Poster House. And yeah, there we go. Yeah, shout out to the Poster House here and the great team. And also debuted in Times Square and also different locations in the city. And also, yeah, a lot of wheat pasting activations. I actually don't do any wheat pasting. Let me tell you, this was a complete photo op. And I tried to do it myself, and I was basically mummified by a wet poster. And then I had to hand it over to the actual experts who could do it for me. But this was, there's no audio, but literally in this spot right here is where it debuted a year ago. And it was an incredible day. And also the podium with all the mics, you know, it's real when there's a Telemundo mic in front of you too, among all the group. I was like, this is kind of surreal. And also it's all over t-shirts. You can go to I get no money from this, by the way. You can go to Abercrombie, buy this shirt right now if you want. You can also go to FIFA.com, Target. It's a really cool jersey that is also, I think, $375 if you wanted to get the jersey. I don't have one, let me tell you that. And also the style itself has led itself to like a few other really great relationships. Like you can go to the Whitney and also get a poster design guide. Kind of give you my handy dandy tips to designing posters. And also a really amazing project I got to do with New Jersey. That's actually the New Jersey Mikey Sherrill debuting the poster right at the beginning of the games at Meridian, Hackensack Meridian Health, which is a really great medical organization in New Jersey. So shout out to Mikey Sherrill. And also collaborations with US Soccer. So you'll see a kind of like the through line of the illustrative work going through these pieces. And also we get just merchandise to death. You know, it exists on bottles you can buy at Target. It's on soccer balls, it's on hats, pins, puzzles, collectible hologram cards, and also my favorite bit, it's on dog merchandise too. So if you wanna deck your dog out for the World Cup, you're ready. It's available on Chewy.com. But I would love to go through the history of the World Cup posters just because I find it so fascinating. Again, this being the Poster House, really want to talk through some of that stuff. So I really divided it into 4 eras that I think relate. So there's the Art Deco era, nationalism era, and diplomacy era. And this is the first, that first grouping of posters, right? So the World Cup started in 1930 in Uruguay. And with the artist Guillermo Laborde. And what I love about this is like, well, first of all, the Art Deco expression of it. And the reason you're seeing 2 posters here is because just according to the way that some of these things are cataloged and preserved, not quite sure exactly which one is the right poster, but history seems to dictate that the poster on the right seems to be correct with the red coloring, where also you're seeing this cubist goalie catching a ball in midair, also with this custom lettering right below it. And I do quite love this as a first expression for the World Cup poster. That brings us to 4 years later in Italy with artist Gino Boccasile. Interesting tidbit about this poster is that Gino Boccasile, the artist, was a friend of Mussolini. So there are actually fascist symbols in this poster. If you see on the bottom left, you'll see the fascist, which is typically a bundle of sticks with an axe sticking out of it. And also it's on the crest of the player, of this cubist depicted player here. But it's an interesting footnote in history, but also it's the second expression of the games. What you're seeing here from a global perspective are also all the flags. You're starting to notice the globalization of the sport and the way it's expressed. And also, interestingly enough, this is a interesting artifact from 1934. This is a program of the games. And you're seeing here also the way that they depicted the brackets of the teams up until the final match. Very interesting piece of design. That brings us to France, 1938, with artist Henri Demey, and just a beautiful poster. Interesting note here is that we are also on the verge of World War II. So you're seeing here also, again, the globalism thought with a player standing on top of a football or a soccer ball, standing on top of the planet Earth. What I do love here also is the colorful rainbow depicted behind the player here, and also the custom logo in the top right for FIFA. We do a bit of a time jump because the games were paused for World War II, which brings us to 1950 in Brazil with artist Jane Damasceno. And just such a beautiful, colorful poster, again, with some watercolor elements to it. You're seeing an even larger expression of all the flags on the sock of the boot and the cleat atop the soccer ball, and just some of the colors here, just absolutely gorgeous. And I do love, this is I think one of my favorite posters, just in pure palette. That brings us to 1954 in Switzerland with artist Werner Heiskonig. And you're seeing here a bit of an avant-garde illustration of a ball going through a net with that goalie just missing the ball, right? And also you can see a bit of that pop art aesthetic starting to creep in, you know, some of these like imperfect lines, and also very expressive figurative elements here for like, especially with that player. That brings us to 1958 in Sweden, not that far away, with artist Bengt Carlson, also who went by the name Becca, which is, he's often credited with a few different ad campaigns of that era. You're seeing on the right-hand side the native poster, and the left-hand side you're seeing the international translation, again with the flags surrounding the ball. And also, like, what I love about the color palette on the left, it kind of sits against that really warm yellow ochre too. Yellow ochre, if anyone that's gone to art school and had to sit through a painting class, yellow ochre is like the color that you have to use on every, I'm seeing some head nods here, uses on every palette, especially with oil painting. And what's interesting about 1958, and especially this aesthetic, was that it was also the same year as the Vertigo poster. So you're seeing a direct relationship between the minimalistic work of Saul Bass and how that work is a trend, and even on a global scale. Beautiful poster here too. That brings us to our second era, the modernist and also minimalistic era. Especially expressed in 1962 with the Chilean poster from Galvanero Pons, with this almost like universal galactic thought of the planet Earth colliding with a soccer ball, or at least a soccer ball perhaps rotating around the Earth. It's a bit open to interpretation, but you're seeing here even more white space than ever before, but also some Swiss design on the bottom in the way that all the typography is grouped right at the bottom with the location and the year. Really beautiful composition here. Rule of thirds operating at its finest, right? Brings us to 1966 in England with designer Herbert Lupin. And also what you're seeing here, so there's often different expressions or interpretations of what is quote unquote the poster. So two of these posters come up when you talk about 1966 in England. What's interesting on the left-hand side and on the right is that they are both, again, minimalistic, and also they're starting to show expressions of Swiss design, right? You're seeing this sans serif condensed typography here, but also the golden ball is positioned exactly the same, or it's in the same tilt in both posters on the left and the right. But on the right-hand side, you're seeing the first time that the mascot World Cup Willie being expressed in the poster. So you're starting to see fun, family-friendly marketing in the world of the World Cup. And then my personal favorite year, 1970, Lance Wyman, who is still with us, by the way. And this is just such my absolute favorite year. And I think all other posters are really trying to catch up to what happened in 1970. So when you look up this poster, it doesn't tell you exactly which poster was the primary poster. A lot seem to gravitate towards the magenta colored one on the left, but you see green, you see orange, you also see blue, but you're seeing this pop art sensibility, this minimalistic approach, this very graphic approach as well, that just feels eternal, timeless. And also, what's notable is that Lance Wyman also created a full-on brand system for the games that year. So you're seeing this custom typography, again, the ball that is in motion, and also this unique mark for the year 70, where it's this striped 7-0, but with the ball being the 0, of course, right? But again, beautiful system, beautiful poster. I think it's really, really at a pinnacle. We're also the same person designing both the marketing as well as the poster. Then that brings us to 1974, Germany, with artist Horst Schäfer, where again you're seeing this this Swiss grid with the grouping of typography and elements right at the bottom, but also with this kind of pastel, expressive footballer right in the center, yeah, distinct from all the others, and also I think the first one to actually use black as well as the primary background. Also, very cool logo on the top left. I do love that logo as well. That brings us to 1978, Argentina. And this is also distinct in that you're seeing a designer designing the logo, which is expressed as a poster, but also seeing that logo placed within the tournament poster. So on the left, we have Ronald Shakespeare and Guillermo Gonzalez Ruiz designing the logo, but also we have Eduardo Lopez designing the poster on the right with this let's say a half-tone expression of two players hugging, presumably after a goal in celebration. What's notable about this year is that Argentina had just gone through a military coup in 1976. So actually the hands that are minimalistically expressed holding the ball, those are supposed to be the hands of the president at the time, President Perón. And then the military coup that happened in 76, Perón passes away, and then the new regime tries to eliminate the logo and say that's not the logo because it was expressing a previous regime. But then FIFA stepped in and said, no, that's still the logo, but you get to do this poster. So interesting political history in 1978. It's worth reading up on. And also, there were about 10,000 individuals that were disappeared. They call them the disappeared in Argentina. So this ghostly image kind of takes on a bit of a new meaning. Then that brings us to our third era. We're seeing some really big names design the poster. So I'm grouping them all together here. So in 1982, you have Joan Moreau, the surrealist artist with these very abstract, expressive forms. Really love the colors. And that's when there was Spain. What's notable also in 1982 is that Spain also commissioned many other posters for the different host cities, not unlike the United States. This is when you're starting to see like all these sub-campaigns. So they commissioned about 8 or 9 other posters that don't get as much play that were also by local artists. 1986 in Mexico, Annie Leibovitz, the famed photographer, also still with us. She shot this image that's inspired by Aztecian, Mayan structures with a shadowy figure standing next to a soccer ball. And on the right, in 1990 in Italy, we have Alberto Burri designing the poster on the right. And what's notable about this poster is that you're starting to see the first time digital tools are creating the poster. Also, what's an interesting creative decision is that it depicts the Colosseum, which is in Greece, not in Italy. And then you're depicting the center of the Colosseum as a pitch, but with all the national flags that are participating. So very interesting creative choices here. Big brand energy starts to emerge in the history of the World Cup. So in 1994, famously is when the United States first hosts the games. And then Peter Good is who had the design firm here in New York City. He did the marketing for the poster and the campaign. You're seeing the logo on the left expressed as a poster, which is it's so indelibly burned into my brain, right? Especially I think a few of us when we were much younger. And then the main poster for the games is that 94 poster where you have the numerals 9 and 4. Created from this patchwork or from these different soccer balls. Again, has a like kind of digital feel to it against the flag flag which is encompassing planet Earth with the United States. And on the right is a bit more of the national look with the Statue of Liberty. And also with all the participating flags. So Statue of Liberty has been a part of the motif of the World Cup for many, many years. What's interesting here is also my first introduction to the games was with the Super Nintendo game World Cup '94 with the American mascot named Striker the dog. So if anyone knows Striker the dog, then we are brothers and sisters in that. Also this year, and you're seeing again where the marketing and also the commemorative aspect of the game is kind of split off because there was a poster also by Peter Max from 1994, which is often attributed as the poster and the commemorative poster. A lot of us are familiar with Peter Max now because he has stores in malls and shopping malls all over the country, and this style is very ubiquitous in those stores. So what I love about it is expressive, it's so bold, it's colorful, and a lot of people had this poster in their homes growing up. That takes us to 1998 in France with two interesting posters here. I call this the Friends year because Nathalie Legal was the official artist for the poster on the left, where you'll notice that the hand lettering is very in the style of the Friends logo. And also it's notable that Nathalie Legal was also a student, and she won a contest, I believe, to design this poster. Again, it's an overhead view of the pitch. It's very beautiful and colorful. And on the right, we have Burton Morris, which is a licensed poster. Again, sold at the game, sold as a commemorative, token. But what Burton Morris is famous for is for designing the Central Perk signage in Friends. So they found Burton Morris because of Friends. So now that I see this, I think, wow, Friends really took over the world in a lot of different ways that we don't really even understand. That brings us to 2002 in Korea and Japan, the co-host countries, where it was done by two artists. We have Byun-Chu Suk representing South Korea, and also we have Hirano Sogen representing Japan, designing the poster together with this kind of beautiful calligraphic brushstroke aesthetic. I just really quite love this poster. A lot of great energy here, but also I love the logo on the top right. I don't know who did the logo on the top right. I know that's some research I probably should have put on this slide. But again, interesting placement of interesting separation of poster plus logo. And then this is where we start to get into agencies are starting to do the posters. So in 2006 rather, in Germany, We Do Communication designed the poster. And also there are additional posters that are part of this campaign. I'm just showing the one, but with this soccer ball as a constellation in the sky. And in 2010, one of my favorite posters of the modern era in South Africa by the agency Switch. And then the illustrator Paul Dale designed that silhouette of the young player, but which is a stand-in for the whole continent of Africa. Very smart storytelling here. And also I love against that bold yellow background. That brings us to 2014, Brazil, with the agency Crama designing the poster. And there was a whole series of posters designed in this very flourishy style. That takes us to 2018 in Russia with artist Igor Gurevich. And what's interesting here is that I made an intentional decision to harken back to the constructivist era of design in Russia, where he's depicting Lev Yashin. And Lev Yashin is a famous goalie in Russia. It was one of their best goalies, historically speaking. So yeah, very, very cool design this year. Then we jump forward to 2022 in Qatar with photographer and artist Buthaina Al Mufta. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is a really beautiful monochromatic series of posters featuring a player wearing traditional garb, celebrating and playing, in the desert. And one interesting call out here is that it focuses around the word haya, which actually means let's go. So really celebratory and just like really beautiful series. I really encourage all of you to look it up. Which brings us to today. And all these posters from all the host cities across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, which I won't talk about because a lot of press around that, a lot of stories around. We don't have all the time in the world, but I will talk about again my work and my participation with it. And what was really fun is that FIFA reached out to me in the beginning of 2025, and I was like, oh my God. You want me to do what? You want me to design a World Cup poster? I started to think in my head, wow, this is wild. But they had seen some work that I'd done, like this NYC by Design poster, where it was designed in 2022 after COVID, and the city was really just opening up, and I really wanted to depict this concept of New York forever. They'd seen this work, and they said, hey, Rich might be a good person to design the poster. And I thought, wow, what do I do? I had a bit of a freak out because I thought, some of my heroes designed posters. And like, these posters live in places like the Poster House, they live in libraries, they live in schools, like you tell these stories. And also because soccer fans can be a little wild, they can be a little vocal. They can feel some type of way when they feel like their city or their country isn't represented well. So I had a little bit of a freak out then too. But I just hit the pavement and I decided to just start sketching. So this is one of the first sketches. What I'm going to show you now are my first sketches that I literally showed FIFA. So we had a briefing call with them the day after I got the email from my now friend Carly Gruenberg, who's part of the host city committee. She said, hey, Rich, you interested in designing a poster? I said, yes, of course. So we got on a phone call with them. We got a phone call with FIFA, the home office here in the United States. They're based in Miami here in the United States. And then a few things came to mind. They were like, hey, Rich, we love the idea of combining New York and New Jersey. Also, there's a unique challenge here where this is the only region that has to represent two states, two cities, or one city, two states. And also it's playing in New Jersey. So I was like, okay, that's complicated. I grew up in New Jersey, but I lived in Brooklyn, so it made a lot of sense. So the way that I like to ideate in the beginning is oftentimes I'll think of it like an equation. If anyone has ever watched the TV show Abstract on Netflix about design and creativity, yep, it's a great show. Illustrator Christoph Niemann is a part of that. And I have had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. I never really chatted with him that long, but something that he talks about is the creative equation, and also the way that you can ideate based on 1 + 1 + 1 can equal 3, where the sum of the parts can equal more than or the total of the parts can equal more than just a simple sum. So that's how I started to think about it. So here, one of my first sketches, I love the movie Inception. I thought, okay, so soccer ball plus stadium plus City of New York, where the City of New York and the stadium at MetLife, now called New York, New Jersey Stadium for the games, they're converging upon each other, right? And no colors are real. This is literally just idea in its purest form on a page, where I'm just like, this is where type also goes in, and here's where a logo may go. Who knows? Here's my second idea, where it's based on the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty also came up a lot in the conversation with FIFA, where it's the Statue of Liberty looking up. This is also based on a famous photograph. Statue of Liberty looking up, and then a soccer ball, kind of that's shaped like an asteroid or a meteor, flying past her head, right? And then the word mark of FIFA World Cup 26 running along the side. Then this is the third idea, just a really crazy collage where you have all these artifacts and all these symbols of New York City and New Jersey, where you have the Statue of Liberty, you have the Wall Street Bull, you have the Brooklyn Bridge, you have a slice of pizza, you have you have a kicker sliding, you have all these elements in this crazy composition, and then just bold type FIFA World Cup on the bottom left with an interesting like offset stack where you like I love the idea of nestling in the 26 below the P, and then just finding a specific placement for the logo on the right with the date. And then this idea, which was my favorite to begin with, so I'm glad that we went there, was really focusing in on the Statue of Liberty's hand, or Lady Liberty's hand, then having this ball sit in the center flame of the Liberty torch, then just using bold typography of NY, NJ, which is the brand typeface that was commissioned by FIFA, then finding really good placements for the date as well as the word mark of the logo. So this is that very first sketch. And then if you're wondering why the wild colors for the ball, it's just because when I'm going to draw over the ball, I just have to know where all the actual lines are. So that's really for me. So these are the two ideas that they really went with, they really loved. And I was like, thank God, two good ideas. Because sometimes, a client, I know a few of us like will have those clients, the client will pick the thing that you like the least. And you're like, why did I even include that? But they picked two ideas that I enjoyed. So this is where I start to do color studies. And this is for that first idea of the really wild collage. So again, colors are not final, but I'm just trying to find places where your eye wants to dance all around the composition, where you see the Statue of Liberty and the player first, then you see the word mark FIFA World Cup 26, and then you can scan around and see all the other little Easter eggs in the composition. And then I have a few different iterations for the idea that ended up winning. So here is one where I have a different border around the torch, and also a bit more of like the ball engulfed in flame, where it has like it's blurred because of the heat, like it's so hot inside the flame. Here's one that's a bit more Art Deco, kind of inspired by the Olympics, really. I was looking at a lot of those posters, looking throughout history. I wanted to feel a sense of like the historical importance of the event. And here's one where I really start to get hot, and then I'm starting to lean into my signature illustrative look, where you're seeing all these details in the back, and also I have like the face of Lady Liberty, and the right is an Easter egg. I have a soccer cleat. Also, I'm playing with colors. I was playing with teal, inspired by Lady Liberty, of course, which is that oxidized metal, that oxidized copper that the Statue of Liberty is made out of. And then I had this idea of a patchwork soccer ball living in the center that was also like had little flames shooting off of it. And I love the idea of this patchwork soccer ball because it represented the whole world coming together. And then also the unique part about New York and New Jersey is that the finals are here. So there's a bit more of a importance on this poster, at least in my mind, a bit more of a weight on this region, because when the whole world is paying attention in that last game, that's going to happen right here. Then here's another color scheme. I had like this idea of like a nighttime vibe. He was like daytime New York, nighttime New York, So city that never sleeps. I wanted to feel like it felt like Times Square, like all the lights that are shining, especially when you're walking around, like even at the late night in Times Square, it still like shines really brightly. That's what I wanted this poster to feel like. But then here's where we ended up as the final poster, and oh my gosh, I loved it. So some of the details here, again, you're Lady Liberty on the right. I simplified the ball in the center. They didn't want the little flames. I was like, yeah, that's fair enough. There's a lot going on. So I simplified the ball. I still kept these little lines, so just for this little patchwork quilt. So you're seeing like not every hexagon is a single color. It's because I wanted to show the complexity of these nations coming together. Like, like we all went through the history of all these posters, not not every nation is a simple clean cut as we think, right? Especially, and us especially, we're not so clean cut. But also we have the florals for the state of New Jersey. We want to make sure that New Jersey represented. And then for New York, we have the little apple here for the Big Apple. We also have a slice of pizza. You know, it's the national food of New York City. And then also, even for the colors, again, teal representing the Statue of Liberty, but also the color orange. The color orange has special meaning to me, not just because of the Knicks, and I very intentionally had orange and blue in the poster because of the Knicks, which I want to. I wasn't saying that we were going to win this year, but I'm glad we did because it makes for a really great story. But also, I grew up in South Orange in New Jersey, so the color orange also represents that. If you know, you know, right? But yeah, so really, really fun. And one last Easter egg, as a first generation Filipino American, I put in a lot of my personal works the stems and the flowers of the sampaguita flower, which is the national flower of the Philippines. And there's a huge population of Filipino Americans in Jersey City and also in Queens here in New York City. So I like to put that little Easter egg in there for my people. So yeah, that's the poster. And I think, oh yeah, so I just want to end on two quotes from two artists who I love. And I like to end all my talks with that. This is from Dorothea Tanning, American painter. She says, any true artist is going to explore the medium as long as they can draw breath. It will be grotesque to paint the same way over and over all your life. It's a kind of freeze. And also by Maya Angelou, poet, needs no introduction. She says, you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. And that's it. That's all I got. Thank you very much.